In this episode, we take the idea of security metrics one step further by treating metrics as tools for improvement rather than tools for reporting. If you are new to cybersecurity, it can seem like metrics exist mainly to satisfy leadership or auditors, but the more powerful purpose is learning how to use measurements to make security work better over time. A metric can reveal bottlenecks, expose weak assumptions, and show where risk is quietly growing. It can also help you prove that a change actually worked, which is harder than it sounds because security environments are always changing. The heart of this lesson is building a habit where you measure, learn, adjust, and then measure again, so the security program steadily improves instead of repeating the same problems every quarter. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A useful way to think about lasting improvement is that it usually comes from fixing systems, not just fixing symptoms. Symptoms are the visible problems you see, like a queue of alerts that keeps growing, repeated malware detections, or frequent access mistakes. The underlying system is the set of processes, responsibilities, tools, and decisions that created those symptoms. Metrics help you see whether you are dealing with symptoms or systems, because a symptom-only fix often makes a number look better briefly, and then it bounces back. A system-level fix changes the trend and keeps it improved even when conditions get harder. For example, closing tickets faster might be a symptom fix if the same category of issue keeps coming back, while reducing repeat incidents from the same cause is more likely to be a system fix. To use metrics for improvement, start with choosing metrics that are connected to outcomes you truly care about. For security operations, that often means speed, quality, and consistency in how the organization detects and responds to issues. A metric like average time to acknowledge an alert is useful only if it is connected to meaningful response, not just a quick click that says someone saw it. A better improvement-focused metric might be the percentage of high-severity alerts that receive a meaningful triage decision within a target window, because that combines speed with an implied quality gate. Another improvement-focused metric might track the percentage of incidents that receive a root cause review, because without learning, the same mistakes repeat. The theme is that metrics should point to real behavior changes that reduce exposure, not just activity changes that create nicer dashboards. Once you have a metric, the next step is to make it actionable by clarifying ownership and control. If nobody owns the process behind the metric, improvement will stall because everyone assumes someone else will fix it. If the people who own it cannot influence it, the metric becomes unfair and discouraging. For example, measuring patching timelines is not actionable if the team being measured does not control maintenance windows, vendor dependencies, or change approvals. In that case, the right improvement is not yelling at the patching team. It is fixing the coordination system, such as creating better scheduling, removing unnecessary approval layers, or prioritizing critical assets. Metrics help you reveal misalignment between responsibility and authority, which is one of the most common reasons security improvements fail to last. A practical improvement loop often follows a simple pattern: observe, diagnose, change, and validate. Observation is collecting the metric consistently and noticing trends, not reacting to every minor spike. Diagnosis is asking why the number looks the way it does and separating root causes from surface explanations. Change is selecting a specific improvement action that you believe will affect the metric for the right reason. Validation is checking whether the metric trend changes and whether it produces the outcome you intended, not just a cosmetic improvement. If you skip diagnosis, you may fix the wrong thing. If you skip validation, you may claim success without evidence. This loop is how security programs become steadily stronger rather than constantly restarting improvement efforts. One of the most valuable uses of metrics is identifying bottlenecks, especially in incident response and vulnerability management. Bottlenecks are points where work accumulates because flow is restricted, and they often show up in time-based metrics. If the time from detection to triage is short, but the time from triage to containment is long, you have located a bottleneck in decision-making or in access to containment capabilities. If patches are approved quickly but remediation is delayed, the bottleneck may be scheduling, testing concerns, or coordination across teams. When you identify a bottleneck, you can target improvement resources effectively instead of guessing. The key is to measure the steps in a process, because a single end-to-end time number can hide where the real delay happens. Another lasting improvement technique is reducing rework, which is work you have to do again because the first fix was incomplete or the underlying cause was not addressed. Rework can be tracked by metrics like the percentage of vulnerabilities that are reopened after being marked as fixed, or the percentage of incidents that occur from previously identified weaknesses. High rework is a signal that the organization is spending effort without building stability. To reduce rework, improvements often involve clearer standards, better verification, and stronger accountability for closure criteria. Metrics help because they make rework visible. Without metrics, teams may believe they are making progress simply because they are constantly busy. When rework drops, the same team capacity produces greater risk reduction, which is the kind of improvement that lasts. Metrics can also drive improvements in detection quality, not just speed. Many beginners assume more alerts means better security, but in practice, too many low-quality alerts can bury the signals that matter. A useful metric might track the percentage of alerts that result in a meaningful action, such as containment, escalation, or confirmed benign closure with documented rationale. If that percentage is low, it suggests alert tuning, data quality issues, or mismatch detection logic. Improving detection quality might involve better context and logs, improved correlation rules, or clearer thresholds that reduce noise. The goal is not to make numbers look smaller. It is to make decision-making clearer and faster. When you improve the signal-to-noise ratio, the security program becomes more resilient because analysts can focus on what matters. In vulnerability management, metrics can help you shift from reactive patching to risk-based prioritization. A common weak pattern is measuring how many vulnerabilities were fixed, which encourages chasing volume rather than reducing dangerous exposure. A stronger improvement metric might track how long critical vulnerabilities remain open on critical assets, because that measures exposure time where it matters. Another metric might track the percentage of critical assets that meet a baseline configuration standard, because consistent hardening reduces the number of vulnerabilities that appear in the first place. Over time, the best improvement is not only faster remediation, but fewer high-risk findings generated repeatedly. Metrics that support that shift tend to create lasting change because they reward prevention and stability, not just cleanup. For program-level improvements, metrics can help you prioritize investments and policy changes. If you see that incidents repeatedly involve credential misuse, then an access hygiene metric combined with incident cause metrics can justify strengthening authentication and reducing unnecessary privilege. If you see that outages are driven by change-related mistakes, then change control quality metrics can justify adding better review points and clearer rollback planning. If you see that unknown assets are repeatedly involved in security events, then asset inventory completeness metrics can justify investing in discovery and ownership assignment. These are not tool choices in this lesson. They are program choices about what to improve first and why. The best part is that metrics can help you show progress after the improvement, which builds trust that investments create measurable posture gains. A tricky part of using metrics for improvement is avoiding metric gaming, where people improve the number without improving security. This happens when metrics are attached to punishment, when definitions are unclear, or when the metric is too easy to manipulate. For example, if you measure incident closure time, teams may close incidents early and reopen them later, or downgrade severity to meet targets. A defense against this is designing metrics that are harder to fake and pairing metrics so manipulation becomes visible. You might pair closure time with reopen rate, or pair patching speed with exposure backlog, or pair alert volume with action rate. When paired metrics move in conflicting directions, it signals that the improvement may be cosmetic rather than real. The aim is to create a measurement culture that rewards honest learning, not perfect-looking charts. To make improvements last, you need to turn successful changes into standard practice. A short-term push can create temporary improvements, but lasting gains usually come from making the improved behavior easier than the old behavior. That might involve clarifying responsibilities, simplifying approvals, documenting decision criteria, improving handoffs, or embedding security checks into normal workflows. Metrics can help you detect whether the standard practice is actually being followed after the initial attention fades. For instance, if a process improvement reduced remediation time, you should continue measuring that time to confirm it stays low as workloads change. If a new review step reduced change-driven incidents, you should track incident causes over time to confirm the reduction persists. In other words, the metric is not only a scoreboard. It is a maintenance gauge that warns you when drift begins. When security metrics are used well, they create a calm, steady improvement engine rather than bursts of panic-driven work. The security program becomes more predictable because you can see where risks are building, where operations are slowing, and where process changes are paying off. For beginners, the main lesson is that metrics are most powerful when they lead to specific, testable improvements and when you keep measuring to ensure the improvement holds. The real victory is not producing a report that looks professional. It is using measurement to reduce exposure, increase resilience, and make security work smoother for everyone involved. When that happens, improvements last because they become part of how the organization operates, not just a temporary project.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.